Welcome to Collecting Chaos. My name is James, and this is Wednesday Night Coffee with Collecting Chaos. And, of course, I have my coffee. I don't buy fancy coffees. I just get my Maxwell House. I brew it up in my percolator. Good stuff. Don't use milk. Don't use sugar. Drink it black. So what are we going to do tonight? Probably wait for people to show up. That might be a good idea. I got a couple of things I'm going to be doing tonight. Of course, I'll be showing my pressed comics, the ones that I've done over the last week, or that I've finished over the last week. Sometimes I start comics on a Monday and they're not ready until like Thursday, so I can't show those, obviously. I'm going to start a new segment that I call Comic Collecting Basics, where I talk about some of the things that you might want to know if you're thinking about collecting comics. I'll go into some of the upcoming videos I have planned, short, 6 to 10 minute videos that I have planned. And I'll give an update on that Firestorm comic that I'm working on, the one with the nasty stain. And, I've got an update on that for you as well. So we'll see what happens with it, and hopefully we'll do okay. Got some comment. Who's here? She-Ra. Sorry, I looked all over. I can't find my She-Ra action figure. I know I've got it. I will find it, and I will show it on a future episode. But it's packed in one of these boxes that I still haven't gone through since the flood earlier this year. But I will find it, and I will show it to you. It's not for sale, but I'll show it to you. Kenneth Bird, good to see you. I miss Virginia. I spent the first third of my life there. Yeah, Northern Virginia is where I grew up. Fairfax County, in fact. And yeah, I miss it. It's really expensive up there, but I miss Virginia because, of course, it has all 4 seasons, not just 2 like Texas, hot, cold. Well, not really cold. It's more like chill. Although it has gotten cold here once or twice. Like the year that it froze all the pipes in my house. That was fun. Just before COVID, too. I'm going to go ahead and get on with the pressed comics. These are ones that I have pressed for one reason or the other over the last week. Some of them doesn't make any sense why I pressed them. Some of them you've seen before because I bought them and then pressed them. And I showed them because it was something that I newly acquired. I don't have anything that I've newly acquired this week, unless you want to count some more boxes for the Barbie dolls that I'm still trying to finish working on. This first one was kind of a failure. I mean, the press turned out nice, but the method I used for trying to get the dents out of the spine didn't work too good. And that's the Samurai Penguin. This is number 6. And like I said, I was trying to see if I could get some of these. I know I can't get the creases out, but the dents where the creases are, I was trying to get those out, and I don't quite have the right thing to do it. I think I've figured it out, but without spending extra money on it. But yeah, that's the first one. And then that is one that will be up for sale eventually. Then I've got Archie number 199. This is part of my collection. It was in pretty bad shape, needed a clean and a press, and it turned out pretty nice. The Archies are going in Mylar, whereas the rest of them are going into OPP. Again, this one was one that it just had a lot of waviness and dents, so I pressed it. Not worth a whole lot, but like I said, I'm still practicing with the newer press, and it turned out pretty nice. So I'm happy with that one. That one will be up for sale again. I've shown this one a bunch of times up for sale. Same thing. I tried the same method I did with the Samurai Penguin, and it didn't work out quite as well. A couple of them came out, but there's still some dents that don't have creases that I want to try to get out. So I might redo this one. Can't really. Let's see if I can find one of those ones without the. Yeah, right there is a little dent without the without a crease. So that one will be going back up for sale. Now I'm having second thoughts on these. I might change my mind and instead of selling them, keep them because I do like them. This is Amazing Adventures. This one turned out pretty nice. The white was kind of dingy, so I cleaned it. I pressed it. Now, as of December 1st, all the comics that I press are getting a sheet of interleave paper in the center. And like I said, I haven't decided if I want to keep those or not. These next three are definitely ones that I'm keeping. I bought them for my collection, and I went ahead and pressed them, and I showed them last week as new additions. A lot of creases. I mean, it's from 1963 or 64, I think. Now, this one's July 1964. And the reason I know that is up here, it says 407. That first number, the 4, means 1964. And then 07 is July. And 12 cents tells me it was in the set or is in the 60s. If it was from this, if it was had like 20 cents or 15 or 20 cents up here, then that first number would be from the 70s. So it would be like 70, 71, 72, 73. So that's how you tell that. But that's part of my collection. Same with this one. This was July 1965, and it's definitely going in my collection. I cleaned it up. I pressed it. It looks a whole lot better. Number 25, I think, is what it was. No, this is number 21. Like I said, I might decide to go ahead and keep these. I still haven't made up my mind. Maybe once I've got them all pressed, I'll make up my mind. Here's July of 1967 Solar. Again, going in my collection. Has that nasty crease going all the way down the middle. But other than that, it's not a bad looking copy. It presents a lot nicer than what it is. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Again, part of my collection. Here's Amazing Adventures number 22. I'm just going through and pressing all of these slowly, regardless of whether they need it or not. They're not worth a whole lot of money, but I do like them. And I am seriously thinking about putting them back in my collection. This Superman number 376, the white was dingy, so I gave it a little bit of a clean, made it look a little bit nicer, and it turned out nice. Plus, this is actually, believe it or not, this is a key issue because it previews the Daring New Adventures of Superhero, which started a new series that didn't last that long. They changed the name of it around issue 13 or 14. I don't know if this is a duplicate or if this one's mine, so we'll figure that out later. Captain Marvel number 55. It needed a clean and a press, so I did. It turned out pretty nice. Again, not worth a whole lot of money, but got to keep practicing. This next one, I cleaned up a little bit. I pressed it. It turned out really nice. Again, I've just figured out a method that I think will work to get those dents out, and I just worked that out today. Not buying something extra. So, and that's this movie classic, North to Alaska. This is part of my collection with John Wayne, and I believe that's Katharine Hepburn. So, yeah, pretty good movie if you ever get a chance to watch it. Yeah, I thought it came out nice. So, Superman Man of Steel number 16. I just needed something to press, so I grabbed this one. Nothing special about it. It's probably, I'll have to check it to make sure it's not the one for my collection. This one I was very disappointed with. The cleaning came out nice. I did have to do some repair work to the spine. And then when I was putting it back together, I discovered it's missing the centerfold. This is Archie number 202. Because it's missing the centerfold, that would make this a 0.05. So, not happy with that because that is part of the story. So, still, it's a placeholder until I get a better copy, or a complete copy, I should say. Another Amazing Adventures. This is number 25. Again, I'm not positive if I want to get rid of these or not. I really do like them. So I'll make up my mind sometime in the next week or so. This one actually is a duplicate, so I don't necessarily need this for my collection. This is the Whitman version of The Brave and the Bold, number 145 from 1978. It does have this big crease, which makes it a mid to lower grade. I can never get my hand to go right. The spine turned out nice on this one. Kind of happy with this, the way it turned out. This one will be going back up for sale. And that's a Jim Aparo cover. Next is another one that's a duplicate. It's another Whitman, Brave and the Bold, number 146 from January 1979. And this one also turned out really nice. Kind of happy with it. Michael, glad to see you could stop in. Just here browsing. Always happy to see you. Roy, nice to see you. You drank all your, and you didn't make a fresh pot for tonight? I'll have to drink some coffee. This one will be going up for sale again. It turned out pretty nice. I did a little cleaning on it. Now, as of January 1st, every comic I press, will be cleaned first. Now, that clean might just be taking a cotton round and going over the cover like this, okay? That might be all the cleaning it needs, but every comic will be cleaned before I press it, just to make sure there's no dirt. Speaking of cleaning before I pressed, that's what I did with this. I cleaned this one up, turned out pretty nice. Now, the problem with this one wasn't on the front cover, because the front cover looked really good. It's it's the back cover. This looked like somebody grabbed it and just crunched it. But it turned out a little bit better. It's still, you can see a little bit. There's a stain down here that I'm not going to bother trying to get out because my stain removal technique is Yeah, it's pretty rough. This one will be up for sale, I think. I do collect Web of Spider-Man. It's the only Spider-Man title I collect, and I don't know if I have that one or not. So we'll see. If I don't have it, if I sell it and I have it, or I don't have it, well, that's just a lick on me. This is Booster Gold number 9. It's another one of those ones I just grabbed for something to press. And again, I need to work on getting these spine ticks out, which is what my plan for the next 2 weeks is. Well, actually, for the new year, my plan is to make sure I can get all those ticks out. This is Booster Gold number 11. It turned out pretty nice. Again, it's got the ticks on the side that I should have been able to get out. Vintage Adventures, glad you could stop in. Both of those Booster Golds will be available for sale. Now, this next one, when I show it to you, you're going to go, why did he bother pressing that piece of crap? And I'll tell you. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be using my little travel iron. I just find it so much easier to use than a tack iron. So, but the next one is dingbats, and as you can see, this is a really low grade copy. So why would I press this? Well, I had an idea on a different way to get out of a spine roll, and this one had a pretty bad spine roll. In fact, on the back side of it, you could see where it was splayed out over 1/2 inch. And as you can see now, it's just barely splayed at all. So I took it from the cover sticking out to here to getting it back to where it should be, or pretty close to it. And that was the only reason I pressed this one, was to experiment with a new way of doing spine rolls. Will I share that new way? I haven't decided yet. I might share it privately with a few people instead of putting it out there for everyone. And those are the comics I pressed this week. Of course, there's one more that I pressed that's not finished being pressed. And I'll get to that eventually. But for right now, if anybody has any questions about pressing, you can go ahead and ask me, and I'll try to answer it the best I can. I will eventually offer pressing once I'm comfortable enough with the press, and maybe buy a second press. I might offer that as a service, but it takes a long time and it ain't cheap. I mean, I'll probably charge less than other people do, but okay. I'm going to go ahead and move on to my next topic, which is comic collecting basics. Now, this is a new thing that I'm going to start tonight, and I'll also do a short video on this same subject, probably covering the exact same thing, because I sat down and wrote it out. Now, for today's comic collecting basics, oh yeah, yeah, cotton rounds, and these. This is a soot removal sponge. A lot of people call them Absorin sponges because Absorin also sells them, but you don't have to get the Absorin brand. Any soot removal sponge, and this was almost white, and I used it to clean a comic that didn't look like it had any dirt on it at all. Yeah, I was wrong. And if I hadn't have gone over it with that sponge, I probably would have pressed the dirt right into it. So glad I used it, and I just cut them up into little squares so that I can I don't know if I like that or not. I like them a little bit bigger generally. So anyway, comic book collecting basics. And today, what I want to go over is the difference between grade and condition. And what is the difference between grade and condition? Because you often talk about people saying, what grade is it? When they don't really want to know what grade it is. They want to know what condition it's in. And they're two separate things. And people don't realize that. One is based on the other, but the other is not based on the one. And the condition of comic ranges from incomplete to gem mint. Now, when I first started collecting comics, seriously, back in 1968, 1969, right around there, still a kid, but the other collectors I knew, the adult collectors I knew, didn't call it gem mint. They called it pristine. If you had a pristine comic, that means it was perfect in every way. So rather than saying a comic has a 1-inch crease in the corner and the pages are cream colored and it has spine creases along the spine, but the colors are vibrant and it presents really well, someone might describe it as very good plus. This means it's better than very good, but not quite very good to fine. And very good to fine is actually a range. Now I'm using terms that they use currently instead of the ones that we had back in the early 70s. And the ones I'm using right now are based on the 10-point grading system, which has 27 different categories. I'm not kidding. There's 27 different categories. They range from 0.1 to 10. Now, the numeric grade of a very fine plus comic would be a 4.5 out of 10. With 0.01 being a comic missing pages and the front cover, and a 10 being absolutely perfect, no printer or user defects whatsoever, and this includes signatures. Okay? A 10 cannot have a signature on it, ever, because that means somebody had to do something to it. And when you do something to it, it's no longer a 10. So the difference is that condition describes the comic including any flaws, and the grade is a numerical equivalent of that condition. Unfortunately, they don't always match up, as the numeric grade should be exact and not include things like presentation. Whereas a descriptive grade might actually give the impression of it being better than the numeric equivalent based on how pleasing it is to the eye. This, where's that Spider-Man? This Spider-Man, if you only look at the front cover and you look at the spine on all the corners and everything, you'll go, wow, that's a 9.9 or a 10. You look at that back cover, no, not even close. Maybe an 8.5, maybe a 9. To me, a grade is numeric and can be quantified and determined based on the number of printer errors and flaws, as well as the severity of any defects that are caused through the handling of the comic, all of which are based on a set criteria for each part of the comic, including, but not limited to, corners, spine, cover surfaces, edges, and interior pages. Now, does an ink smear on the inside of the comic count? Yeah, that's a printer error. So yes, that counts against the grade of a comic. Although CGC doesn't think so. Absolutely. Yeah. If you're looking at buying a comic, if it's $2, $3, $4, I wouldn't worry about it. If it's an expensive comic, $25, $30, $40, $100, $200, I want to see the back cover. I want to look at the pages. I want to make sure it's what I'm buying. Now, a description can be very subjective and have minor defects completely ignored. So when you're describing a comic as, a 9.0, or not a 9.0, if you're describing a comic as a near mint minus, or maybe as a very fine to near mint, which a very fine to near mint, I think is like a 9.0. So if you're describing a comic as a very fine to near mint, it might have some spine ticks on it that you're just not paying any attention to, even though those would actually drop it down to very fine. It happens. So to sum it up, the grade is a number assigned based on the examination of a set number of criteria, and the condition is based on visual evaluation of the comic as a whole. While they may often be interchangeable, it's not always the case. I have a 9.6 near mint plus CGC graded comic that I consider to be a very fine plus, 8.5. I'm going to show it to you. And I also have my grading guide so I can talk to you about it. And it's this 80-page Wonder Woman, 9.6. Looks great, right? Believe it or not, it has 2 spine ticks, which you shouldn't have because it's a square-bound comic, but there are 2 little, almost imperceptible spine ticks here. That would drop it down to 9.8 from a 10.0, obviously. But up here, and I don't know that you can even see it, but there is a 1/4 inch spine tear, or publisher's tear, on the top and on the bottom. And they're a 1/4 inch. Now, let me read from Overstreet Grading Guide. Near mint plus, bindery defects. Only subtle bindery or printing defects are allowed. No bindery tears are allowed. Although on Golden Age books, bindery tears of up to 1/8 inch have been noted. Now, that's not a Golden Age book, number 1. And number 2, those are 1/4 inch tears, and there's 2 of them. So let's flip over to very fine plus. A limited accumulation of minor defects is allowed, 1 or 2 more than very fine or near mint grade. Now, if that only had the 1 small bindery tear up near that corner, I might say very fine to near mint, which is like a 9.0. But because it has 1 at the top and 1 at the bottom, yeah, I go very fine plus at best. It's the way it is. So there you go. I need another copy. Actually, I'm going to break this out of the case eventually so it can go in my Wonder Woman collection. And I've been saying that for like 3 years now. Maybe someday I'll do it. So that covers my little comic collecting basics for tonight. If there's any questions about that, I'll be happy to try to answer them to the best of my ability. Not yet. I don't think I cracked one. I've cracked them. I don't think I did it live. I might have. Might have cracked one of those Superman comics I got from Michael live. I don't remember. I know I cracked 3 of them, but I don't remember if I did it live or not. So let's talk about some things I'm going to be doing soon. Some videos I'm going to be starting. And they're going to be a series of videos. The first one is the one that I've been threatening. I'm going to go ahead and do the first video on this, and I'll release that sometime this coming week, before Christmas. And I'm also going to do the first video on this. So I will be doing these 2 simultaneously. Now, what I'm going to do on this one, obviously I can't show me taking it apart because I already did that. But what I will be showing is how I will get those stains out. And as you can see, they're pretty bad. And also, there's some minor repair work that needs to be done to the spine. And I'll be using Tingujo paper, rice paper, to do that. And I will show that. Now, I have to do that after I clean it, or after I do the wash that I'm going to do on it. And I'll probably end up posting this one before I post the other one, because this is only going to take me about 20 minutes to do, to start. And then, of course, it's a long drying process after that. Whereas this one is I'm going to have to go through and look at all the defects, decide what I can fix, what I can't fix, and I will do that on screen, because everything I do to this comic will be shown in a video. On this one, I'm going to show you the cover. I'm going to do the cover for you, and then I'm going to do the rest of the pages, but I'm not going to show you that. And then I'll show you what it ends up as at the end. So those are the videos that I have planned coming out this next week, 2 of them, which is one more than I usually do. Actually, here lately, it's 2 more than I usually do. Now, something you may remember is this. And of course, the stain that's on it, which, yeah, I want to show it with my mouse and I can't. But as you can see, over by his head and going up to the M, there's a bad stain, and that continues across the comic. Now, before I show you the results of that, and I do have the results here, I want to show you the replacement copy I bought, because I did buy a replacement, and that's this one. Now, this is one that I purchased because I didn't know if I'd be able to get that stain out or not. And it's a nice copy. The guy had it listed as very fine plus, but it's 9.6 or 9.8 easy. I've examined it pretty thoroughly. And this one, the next one I show you, this is the one that had the stain. Now you can see very faintly, you can still see where the stain was very faintly. But if you don't know to look for it, you won't be able to find it. You won't be able to see it. Now I'm going to show them to you side by side. This is the one I bought, and this is the one I fixed. And I just didn't do the cover. I disassembled this comic, and I went through and cleaned I washed every single page to get the stains out of it. And I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Still has a little bit of a gloss. I'm seriously thinking of keeping this one in my collection and maybe selling the other one. Of course, I have to finish the pressing. I only did the initial press. I haven't done the 64-hour cold press that I did. But there you go. Not much of a difference, really. I might sell this one. I haven't decided yet. I started it last Thursday. I believe I published a video on either Thursday or Friday on it, and I started it right after I published that video. So it took me about 5 or 6 days. I was doing 1 to 2 pages every single day. Total number of hours, figure about 6 hours per sheet, 8, 9 times about 54 hours total. And I'm going to go ahead and press that just for the heck of it. I just have to make sure I don't get them mixed up. So, yeah, that's not an easy thing to do. And I'm expecting the Frankenstein to take even longer because number one, it has more pages. Number two, that one didn't need any extra work, just getting the stains out. This one actually needs some minor repair work done, as well as the pages have to be done individually, put together individually, stapled properly, then the cover attached. So that one will take more time. Yeah, and some people don't like to do that. Some people will put it in a heated press and let it dry that way. I don't like doing that because I have a steel sheet and I don't want to get too much moisture on that steel sheet. So I do kind of let it air dry, but I put down, well, you'll see it when you see the Frankenstein video. But I put down a couple of sheets of paper towels, or a couple of layers of paper towels with that wet on it, and then a couple of layers over that. And then I put something heavy on top of it. And once it's almost dry, you know, it's just barely damp or even dry, that's when I will heat press it just to make sure it's completely flat. But yeah, it takes a while. If somebody sent me a comic and said, "Can you do this?" Oh, geez, I'd have to charge $150 for it, easy, just to cover my time, and that's not even minimum wage. I'd be doing it for less than minimum wage. But you know, a conservation is expensive. But the question is that conservation or is it restoration? Because I'm actually taking something out of the comic. Technically, it's conservation, but a lot of people would consider it restoration because I literally took it and made it look better. I'm thinking instead of the 3.0 that might have gotten from CGC, if I sent it in, it might get an 8 because that stain is barely visible. And if they put it under a magnifying light, they might actually see it. That, and I messed up one of the staples when I was putting it back in, so they dinged me for that. So the staple was replaced. Of course, it was replaced with the original. Not to say I don't know how to replace staples, and I don't need to have the originals. I do have a comic that has no original staples, but I have staple wire, and it's the exact same size as the staple wire they used in comics from the 60s on. So I can make my own staples if I need to. I don't. I generally would prefer to use the staples that came out of the book. But if I've got a few comics that the staples are rusted to the point where if you try to lift the staples to disassemble the comic so you can clean it, the staples turn to dust. And those I would need to replace. You can replace staples on a low grade comic, and it doesn't affect the grade. But if you try to replace them on anything above very good, it's going to affect the grade. Oh, and I found my elf. See, I found my elf. While I was looking for that She-Ra action figure, I found my elf. If I could just find that She-Ra action figure. I know I've got it. I never sold it. I never listed it because I didn't want to sell it. I do have a plan for this comic. This Frankenstein, if it turns out the way I think it will, I have a plan for it that I think is going to be very cool. And I might, if it turns out good enough, I might get one of those magnetic holders to put it in. It's like a case you'd get for CBCS or CGC, but it's magnetic, and you can open it and close it, so you can actually take the comic out and read it. But I might get one of those for this if this turns out nice enough. We'll have to see. Yeah, drying the pages generally takes anywhere from 6 to 10 hours, depending on the temperature. The colder it is in my utility room where I do all that work, the longer it takes because there's no heater in there. I'm not putting a heater in there. Yeah. But if it's warm, like it has been in this past week, 6 or 7 hours, and it usually dries out pretty good. Any questions? No. Unfortunately, no. I wish it was. It's a Gil Kane cover. And the interior was done by... Oh, no, wait. Is that Gil Kane or Gene Colan? That might be a Gene Colan cover. And it doesn't say who did the... yeah, it doesn't say who did the interior art, so I'll have to look that up. Dino Castorillo did the interior art. Let me see if I can find who did the other artwork. I'll have to look that up in my other browser. If I can find it. Gene Colan did the art, did the cover art. Yeah, Gene Colan did the cover art, and with Gene Colan and Ernie Chan did the cover art. And then Dino Castellano did the interior art. Well, that makes it even cooler. No wonder Roy wanted it before I showed him all those stains. Once I showed him all those stains, he wasn't too keen on it. Yeah, Gene Colan is so good. He's the reason I collect Daredevil. I don't collect a lot of Marvel comics, but I do collect Daredevil. I collect Conan, and I collect Conan because of the beautiful John Buscema art that he did for so long in it. I mean, it's really great. It's some of his best work as far as I'm concerned. And then Daredevil I collect because of Gene Colan's artwork in the 60s and early 70s. And of course, Tomb of Dracula. But I have all of those. I need to press those too. I need to find those. Yeah, I need to find those and press them and then do a video showing the full run. I do that occasionally. When I have a full run of something, I'll show them all. I think I did it with Werewolf by Night. Now it's time to do it with Tomb of Dracula once I remember where they are. That flood we had earlier really messed me up. I still haven't gotten things organized enough so that I can start doing the daily 20 that I was doing as shorts. Might drop it down to 15 so I don't have to compress it. Of course, I took some flack on that too. Some of the people weren't crazy. They're going through and showing action comic, action comic, action comic, action comic, action comic, action comic, action comic. And one guy said, "Will you cut it out?" And I'm thinking, no, I won't. Yeah. Uh, I don't, did I? I don't remember. If I do another one, it will be after I've pressed them all and gotten them in really nice shape. Of course, I ruined my number 10, but yeah, I think I can fix it. I scorched the inside pages. It didn't hurt the outside. And I think if I washed it, I could clean it up and maybe put some calcium hydroxide bath, which I usually only do for covers. But if I did that with each page, I think it would make it a lot better. I might do that. It's only worth a couple $100. You know, what the heck? That's the comic that made me buy a new press, by the way. But I don't remember doing a Tomb of Dracula. Yeah, and you're late again. Starting next week, which is Christmas Day, by the way, Wednesday falls on Christmas. But I'm still going to do a show because the show must go on. But I'm going to start at 8 o'clock from now on instead of 8:30, so it'll be a half an hour earlier, and that'll work out a little better, I think. For me, I don't know, maybe for everybody. And of course, if you're interested in coming on, hit me up on Instagram, send me an email, whatever. Let's see if I can find my thing there. I know I got it somewhere. I don't remember where that thing is. There it is. That's not the one I'm looking for, though. That's a ticker. Oh, I remember how to do it now. I just can't find the thing to tell me that lets me do it. That's all right. Yes, 8 p.m. Central Time, which would be 9 o'clock Eastern and 6 o'clock Pacific. 7 o'clock Mountain, but Mountain's not important. Nobody uses Mountain Time. I think they should do away with time zones personally, just have an Earth time. Do we really need time zones? I mean, it doesn't matter. Wouldn't it be a whole lot easier for everybody if there was just one Earth time? Actually, we have an Earth time. It's called Greenwich Mean Time. And everything is based off of that, which is kind of strange because the international date line is in the Pacific. Greenwich Mean Time goes through England. You figure it out. It doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, true time. I have to get those posters out one day and show you those Valiant posters I have to see if you want any. Plus, you're supposed to send me those first comics that you need. Or was it first? Yeah, first comics that you need. If you ever get around to it. I might do another short video for the. I know I'm going to do those too, but I might do a short one showing this. And yeah, because I'm not happy with the way it turned out. And like I said, here again, here's the one that I cleaned that had that really nasty water stain on it, and here's the one that I had bought as a replacement. And actually, I think this one looks better. And of course, these are the ones with the Superman logo on them, and they're a little tiny bit harder to come by, but not too much. Yeah. All right. That's when it comes out on video, I'll probably pick up the video. Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably pick that up on video and watch it. I've still got to pick up, what was it, Krypton or whatever it was. I still have to find that. I've been a little lax on picking up DVDs. Hey, I like Smallville, especially after the third season. First 3 seasons were kind of flaky. First 3 seasons. Freak of the week. What kind of weirdo is he going to fight this week that was based on kryptonite radiation that never affected humans before. The only time kryptonite radiation ever affected a human was when Lex Luthor had a ring with kryptonite in it, and it gave him cancer. Which that happened, I think, in the 80s or 90s, I forget which. So think about that. For the first 50 years, kryptonite could not hurt. The kryptonite radiation had no effect on humans. And of course, I liked Superboy, The Adventures of Superboy. That was a pretty good show. And I liked Lois and Clark. I really liked Lois and Clark. I was so bummed when they took that off the air. I thought Dean Cain made a great Superman. And Terry Hatcher wasn't bad as Lois either. Well, I think that's going to be about it for tonight. Everybody have yourself a great week. If I don't see you before then, have yourself a Merry Christmas. I will be on Horizon Picks show on Friday night. We don't skip it just because of the holidays. We'll be there. You should be there too. And like I said, that'll be on Roy's channel, Horizon Picks channel. It starts at 7 o'clock Eastern time and goes until we can't go anymore, or until we don't want to go anymore, whichever comes first. A lot of that depends on if we're selling anything or not. And we're always selling things, but if people aren't buying things, we might shut it down a little early. You know, there's two sides to selling. You got to have a buyer. You got to have a seller. You can have all the sellers in the world, but if there's no buyers, you're not making any money. So we'll see you. I'll be on Christmas or Christmas evening, not Christmas Eve, but the evening of Christmas. So Christmas night I'll be on. Don't know how long, but I'll at least show the comics I've pressed and maybe have a few talking points. And another episode of Comic Collecting Basics. So you might want to watch for that. And if you want to help support my channel, you know, there's something called Buy Me a Coffee. That's always a good idea. It should be in the description down below. If it isn't, I'll make sure it is. Yeah, that'll help me out. And I might reopen my Patreon, but if I do, it's only going to be like $1 or $5 membership. And $5 will get you one free shipping for a month. So we'll see what happens. 5 or 10, probably $10 would get you a free shipping for a month, one time. So we'll see what happens with that. And in the meantime, everybody have yourself a great week, great rest of your week, great weekend, and we'll see you later. Bye.